Get in on the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. The F1 schedule is heating up. Will you go with the reliable and Max Verstappen, or take your chance with a potential surprise? Download the app in Ontario. Use the QR code you see at the bottom of your screen somewhere, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Welcome to Nailing the Apex. I'm Tim Haraney. Please head on over to Spotify, give us a 5-star rating and a follow. Same goes with Apple Podcasts as well. Write a review as it really helps us grow the show. You can follow me on social media at Tim Haraney. Today on the program, we have a very special guest. He currently sits second in the IndyCar Championship from Era McLaren. It's IndyCar driver, Pato Ward. Pato, what's happening, man? How are you?
What's up, man? Thank you for this wonderful invitation. I've been very much looking forward to it.
Dude, second in the IndyCar Championship. I know we're heading into Texas here when we're taping this. We're taping this on the Thursday before the race in Texas. Yeah, second in the championship, dude. I mean, this has got to be great for you. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're rolling. 2023 is rolling. We had a really strong start, and Texas is the closest that I have to home. That's where I got my first IndyCar win. So I've got great memories from that wonderful place, and it's the first super speedway that we have on the calendar. It's a chance to see a little bit of what we might have for the 500. So it's always I think it's always a very important yet unique weekend, because you want to get the laps in, but you also want to focus solely on having the best performance there. So it's plug and play here and there.
Yeah, just can you explain to the listeners just a bit about, oval racing, because it is definitely, for some of our listeners, they're huge F1 fans and they don't really know too much about ovals and what IndyCar actually does on an oval, especially like a super speedway. Can you just kind of take them through that a bit? Because ovals are pretty hairy.
They're definitely hairy. They're very... It's so hard to judge them on TV just because of what it looks like. You don't get a good idea of what the speeds are. They look fast, but it definitely is a very different nature to road courses, which is what I grew up doing, what we all kind of grew up watching, and oval racing is a skill that I have actually really enjoyed learning and really enjoyed every year in trying to make better, because the approach you have to an oval is so different to a street or permanent road course, just because the speeds are so high, the consequences are a lot higher, and the respect that you have to have with one another has to be at a different level, because when things do go sideways, it's not very fun. So it's kind of a gentleman's agreement with guys, and you kind of get what you play with. So, if you're a bit of a risk taker, then you're probably going to get that from other guys as well. So I think it just goes hand in hand with the rest of the cars that you're competing against. And the art of oval racing, I agree, it might look boring sometimes on TV. Sometimes it's so, super entertaining, but sometimes it is kind of follow the leader, very boring. But what it's like inside of the car it's unexplainable, because the speeds are so high and everything is very delicate. Like the lines, when people ask me, is it physical? Texas is, just because of the very high banking and how the cars get really heavy. But usually they're not. It's more of a mental game, because you have to be very precise. If you're not precise, there's a nice concrete wall waiting for you.
Yeah, for sure. You have Scott Dixon right behind you in the championship standings. How badass is that guy? Like,
Scotty,
he's good.
The guy's going to go down as one of the all-time greats, and I feel very fortunate to be able to share a track with him, to compete against him. I've been competing against him in the championship standings for 3 years now, starting my fourth, and you can never count that guy out. He's always in the mix. He's in a great team. He's a great driver, insane amounts of experience. Yeah. And you can't buy that experience. I mean, I remember coming into the series and I was like, how do these guys know what's going to happen? And it's like, well, that's experience for you.
Yeah. And that's like such a big difference, I think, between, you look at Formula One. I mean, you need experience there for sure, yes. But when I look at IndyCar, I mean, the amount of when I was racing in Champ Car Atlantics, I mean, those guys, they had a ton of experience as well. And it was just one of those things where the more seat time you could get, the more races you could get against everyone else, the more you could understand the different tracks you could go to, the more you could understand the setup. I mean, but that doesn't take like a couple months. Like that takes a few years.
It's laps,
right?
man. Like, hundreds of laps.
Yeah.
And it's like hundreds of laps in street courses, hundreds of laps in super speedways, hundreds of laps in short ovals. So like, I think people forget, when they say IndyCar, it's like, Indy 500. But I think people forget that 85% of our championship isn't actually going left. It goes left and right. So, the 500 obviously is our crown jewel, right? But I think what makes IndyCar super entertaining, other than it being the most competitive series in the world, is the different disciplines that you have to try and perfect in order to be a champion. Because if you're good at street courses, but you're not very good at the rest of them, you're not even going to be close to to being a contender in the championship. So you have to be good everywhere, and the approach that you take from track to track is really different. I mean, from St. Pete all the way now to Texas, I mean, the approach is completely different.
You mentioned, just there in the back end, the St. Pete to Texas. I mean, the gap in between that. I mean, it's almost a month in between.
We had a freaking off season.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you do?
Like our off season's not long enough.
Like, what do you do during that time, man? Like, how difficult is it for you to be out of the car for that length of time?
So marketing usually likes to pack us up with stuff to do. So we're kept busy with a lot of with sponsor commitments that aren't on track stuff. But I had a full week off, so I went to the beach. I love Mexico because it's I was born and raised there, but I love the Mexican beaches. The food is unbelievable, and it was the last chance that I had to get kind of like my training camp in, because once you're in the season, you start here physically, and the car keeps you fit, but you're definitely going downhill slowly. Just because of how demanding it is. You can't always get the perfect amount of food. You can't always get the fresh ingredients. You just can't, especially traveling and all in the airports. So yeah, it was my last chance to kind of raise my bar and start from there. And I love spending time at the water. So for me, it was a great 3 weeks. But I'm ready to go back to racing. I'm ready to just keep the ball rolling.
Any karting in there? Like, do you do any shifter karting or Rotax or anything like that?
I did before St. Pete. St. Pete. I didn't have the chance after St. Pete.
Man, how do you stay so like fresh? Like, as soon as you get in the car, that must feel like warp speed, dude. Like, especially going to Texas.
Man, it's like, I don't know. I feel like your eyes kind of get used to it. Honestly, you just get in the car and it's like, not second nature. Oh, it's sort of second nature. You kind of like you catch on little things that you remember from like years past, and then you're up to speed right away.
That's interesting. Fitness. So for your fitness, so you had 3 weeks off. Like, what type of? Take me through a week of your fitness, because I went through Callum Ilot's, like, because Callum and I were talking on here last week, and he was telling me about how much he's had to up his fitness coming over from F2 into IndyCar. And for yourself, I mean, so
I will walk you through. All right.
Yeah.
So my week, for example, my training week, I just finished, a few days ago. So it was from Sunday to Friday. On Sunday, I had one strength session. Monday morning was an hour of cardio. So it could be running, sprints, different segments of cardio. Doesn't matter what it is. Later on that day was another session of strength. Tuesday, the exact same thing. So some form of cardio in the morning and in Tuesday, and then another session in the afternoon, strength. Wednesday is your cool down day, so you only have one strength. Thursday is back onto the cardio in the morning, strength in the afternoon, and then Friday again, cardio in the morning, strength in the afternoon. And depending on the program, I mean, usually it's upper, lower, or like lower core, and then upper again. Different. I mean, there's so many different muscles, right? So one day you choose to do chest, back, traps. The other one you do arms, biceps, triceps. So like you play around with those. My trainer plays around with those depending on what we have. Sometimes with cardio, because I mean, if we're sprinting a lot and we get other like body stuff down, so you can't hammer down the muscles that are already taking a beating, because then they just never give them a chance to recover. But the most important thing is getting enough sleep, because that's what's going to help you recover, and getting the right food in. So like everybody is traumatized when they go eat at a restaurant with me.
You like your food, man. You like your food.
I love food. I love food. Everybody knows I love food. And my rule is I need to get at least 150 grams of protein a day if I want to maintain. But I'm not a big believer in shakes and protein powders. I do whole food. So getting those grams of protein, it's like, I mean, they're proper quantities of food.
It's awesome. How many calories, like, in a day? Well, actually, so I was looking at, I think it was Marcus Armstrong and Callum Ilot's calories burned after St. Pete, and I think Callum was over like 2,000 calories.
Yeah,
and
so like,
obviously,
so on, because when you train your body to recover in the same day, whenever you have one session a day, you're like, this is a piece of cake. And like, for example, when I do the doubles a day, is usually the same calorie count that I burn during a race day, just because of how many. So in the morning, it'll be 800, 900 calories. And then it'll be another 800, 900 calories in the afternoon, which adds up close to 2,000, which depending on what race we're doing, it adds up. It's pretty much the same calorie burn, active calorie burn. And then you have your other 1,600 calories that you just burn breathing. So like the intake on those days is roughly around 4,000 calories for the double days, and around high 2,000s for the one day. And you just gotta do it. You like, it's fuel. At the end of the day, it's fuel. For sure. You gotta get it in, because if not, then you're not you won't push through, and you won't put your body through what it has to go through.
Yeah, exactly. You just won't even have the energy to do it because you don't have the calories. I want to talk about, like, after you won the Indy Lights Championship in 2018, because you jumped around a bit, right? Like, you did some sports cars, you did a few IndyCar races, if I remember correctly, and then finally, you got your shot in 2020 with a full-time ride with Aero McLaren. Was that stretch from the end of 2018 to 2020? Is that difficult in terms of not knowing when you were going to race again, or jumping around quite a bit, or not knowing what your future could be within the sport? Was that difficult at all?
Yeah, it was stressful, because so when I won the Indy Lights Championship, then I signed on to do a full season of IndyCar, which then became very fake. It was February already, less than 3 weeks for the first race. Obviously didn't start the championship, only did a couple races. But it's stressful because, I mean, when you're young, and you can't blame the big teams, right? I mean, they're going to go with people that they know that, there's a lot of economic resource that goes into all this. So they're obviously going to go for them before they go for you. But I think lately there's been a very big wave of the teams taking risks on younger guys, and it's paying off. I mean, that's how it is with me currently. I mean, the Aero McLaren specifically Zach and Sam and Rick took a big risk and put two rookies at the wheel, and one worked out, the other one didn't, but that's how it goes. And I mean, I'm so grateful of the position that I'm in now, but man, my career, I mean, in 19, after that fell apart, then I got signed by Red Bull. The contract that I had signed for Red Bull was Formula One contract. It was not for something else. Then the FIA doesn't give me my super license, so that basically forced us to break up. I called Zach. I said, I'm available. I don't know if it's too late. We get something done in a week. We announce it. Then COVID hits. But honestly, I feel so grateful. I get to do something that is so special. I get to do what I love every single weekend, and I'm pretty sure they don't regret the decision. At least not yet.
I think I was with you just the day after that announcement came out. I believe we were in Texas at the U.S.
Austin,
Grand Prix. Yeah, and you were actually telling me about the Super Formula car. Can you just tell everybody a little bit about the Super Formula car and what Super Formula was? Because honestly, man, like even when I was coming up through racing, I always wanted to drive a Super Formula car, and you got to do that. I mean, those cars look pretty wicked. Man,
they are probably the closest car that you will get to a Formula One car because of how the aero works in that car. They're not the fast. I mean, they're very fast cars in a straight line. They've got great power. They're very light, but the way they can corner in high speeds is proper because the thing is so agile. You can just throw it around wherever you want it to go, and the thing just boom, it just goes. Like we're in an instance in IndyCar now where we just keep on adding weight to the cars, and we're already 200 pounds overflowed, which it is to make everything safer. Which I think IndyCar have done a phenomenal job with, but it is time. Things move with time, and I feel like the series has never been healthier to receive a new car that integrates all this new safety, but is louder, faster, funner. More fun to drive for us, and make it more of a. Make it more of what it can be. We have everything there to make it amazing. All we have to do is take those steps, and I know it's a work in progress. I know it's always an evolution. I know it's not as easy as just let's do this. So I really hope we see something like that in the next few years.
Where you've seen, I mean, you've been a part of IndyCar and the previous Road to Indy program, and obviously I was coming up when things got really bad for open wheel racing, in particular, Champ Car at the time. From your field of view, looking at IndyCar, I mean, how far has it come from 2018 to now? I mean, because in my opinion, it's had a massive growth spurt. Huge.
It just keeps getting stronger. I mean, it's so freaking competitive. And I think, in terms of just how tough it is, to not just to win races, but to challenge for a championship and to win a championship in IndyCar, you're fighting with like 12 guys. You're not just fighting with your teammate. And I feel like, it's gotten to the point where, we have everything at bay to make it something amazing. And I think the idea to make it better and better is there. But the way that the races fall, I mean, you don't know who's going to win. You don't know who's going to, you know what I'm saying? And it's gotten to the point where it's so competitive, where you see guys taking really big risks at just a normal race, to get a win, to get a pole. You see a lot of risks because they know that might be the only chance you get to go to the lead. Yeah. That might be the only chance to get on the podium. So like that's what makes it super exciting. And there's just so much opportunity to make the series just so much bigger than what it is. I always say it, and I'll say it again. I think the series has everything to be a global series. We don't have to go everywhere.
Yeah.
But I sure as hell think that we can make it very entertaining, especially in Latin America, like Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Australia, back to Japan. Like we need to use there's so many countries racing in IndyCar, like drivers from so many different countries. There is so much untapped potential that would just skyrocket the series.
Yeah. I mean, especially in Mexico, because I remember, being there during the Champ Car days, and like, dude, there would be almost 300,000 people.
Oh, unbelievable
for that race. It would be crazy because, like, I think it was like who did we have? We had Mario Dominguez at the time,
Fernandez,
and Michelle,
Jourdain.
Fernandez and Jourdain, crazy. I just said massive amounts of people. It was probably the one of, if not the biggest race on the Champ Car calendar.
I'll say it again. A part of the Indy 500, a Mexican Grand Prix would be the biggest and best event in the calendar for sure. Yeah,
100%. I totally agree with you. 100 Days to Indy. So you were featured in the trailer. What do you think about this? I mean, and like, don't sit there and give me the whole, I think it's great. I mean, no, honestly, what do you think about this? I mean, the trailer that I saw at, South by Southwest looks awesome.
Yeah.
But then the trailer that was released online, it was censored a bit, and I was like, I want the uncensored version of everything. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see it in the Rock.
I'm on your boat because I'm one of the ones that got censored, and honestly, I didn't say anything that's bad. I understand the demographic that we're trying to reach is, sure. People are young and we need to watch what we say. But I think part of this sport, part of the emotion that comes with this sport, it's not all, happy and painted unicorns. Like there's high emotion, there's high adrenaline. There are competitive guys, competitive team owners, competitive mechanics, engineers. Like there is so much emotion that is in the sport that I think it's cruel to hide it. I think it's cruel to not show what it means to people when you win a race, when there's a mistake, when all these things happen. And you also, I mean, whether there's a bad word here and there, I get it, but you get to know the personalities. Like it's okay. Everybody's gonna hear a bad word at least once in their lifetime, if not a million times.
Sure.
So like, I hear it all the time. I heard it all the time when I was 5 and 6 years old.
Same here.
And it's everything that's just in the moment, raw.
Yeah,
that's what
emotions are so. Yeah.
You get the human. We're not robots, No. We're not robots. Which I feel like for a bit we're all trained to kind of be a robot. At least that's what I saw in IndyCar for so many years. So honestly, even I've had conversations with the team and they're on board. It's like, we want you to be you. And I was like, well, I'm going to be me. Yeah. And there's a big difference between being you and being disrespectful, but it's okay to show emotion. It's completely normal. It's human. And when people watch it, people will be able to be like, you know what, man, I feel for that guy. I know, I know maybe I've been in a similar situation, but like you get personable, and that's what's going to make the series skyrocket is when people start cheering for either me or the McLaughlins or the Newgardens or the Dixons or the Felixes, when people start cheering for that guy that they want as a champion or to win or whatever, that's what's going to bring even more people to want to come to races. Like I live it with Supercross. Like, man, I'm a total fan. I'm screaming and like, yes, like, I mean, I'm a total fan, and it's given me an insight of what I know people live with me, and it's a beautiful thing. Like, who cares if they're pissed off?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
There's no reason to be if something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I get it, and I totally agree with you, because that's definitely going to attract more people, because they'll have a better understanding of how frustrating sometimes things can be. And with racing, I mean, things get so heated and so emotional, and there's so much like stress even with inside the race car, that when you're done and you don't have the result that you have, I mean, it's extremely, extremely frustrating. Want to chat with you a bit more about being at McLaren and working with Gavin Ward. So, Gavin and Gavin, when I was racing Formula 4, Gavin was engineering. Similar team.
Man, I think he's a great guy. I think he's in his perfect spot. I think his approach is has been received really, really well, not just by the drivers, but by everybody in the team. We all understand, we have amazing partners. We have, amazing people in the team. We have massive different departments, the marketing, the performance, the mechanics, the leaders. I mean, we've got so many people now. But I think what Gavin brings is an approach, a human approach to things that you need to realize. If you want to perform, if you want to find those little extra things that we are looking to find, and I know we will find, you also need to look at, like, how are you taking care of yourself outside of racing, outside of your job? It's important to see it as a whole picture, not just, this is what we want to do and we're only going to be focusing on this. No, you need a balance. You need a balance in your life in order to extract the performance that you want to be extracting. Whether you're an athlete or just, an engineer, you're still your own athlete in your head. I mean, you have to perform, you have to find things, you have to develop. So I think his approach to the human aspect of what it is to, find performance, hard work, but also what's going to get you there is top notch.
Yeah, he was a genius when he was. He and I were both 18 years old at the time, working together, and he was a genius then, and he's a genius now. Formula One. So you got to do some testing with the McLaren F1 team last season. This season, have you spoken to Zach at all? Like, do you know if you'll get another chance to jump back in the F1 car at all this year?
Yeah, what's
the situation there?
I'll be jumping back in the F1 car and all my F1 responsibilities after my IndyCar season, because I mean, it's a big task at hand that we have. We wanna perform. We don't wanna deviate our focus from that, because it's going to take our full attention. It's going to take our, full performance. And I want to maximize absolutely everything I can this year with IndyCar. And then when I do the F1 stuff, I want to be able to be fully focused on that. I don't want to be bouncing around from one to the other, because I don't like to half-ass things. I like to go full send everywhere I go. So if I'm full sending it in IndyCar, don't bother me with the other stuff. But when I'm done and I've, collected what I need to from here, then I will full send everything and anything that gets thrown, because that's the only way to do it. It's not right to half-ass things. It's not me.
First time in an F1 car. Was it Spain or was it Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi.
Okay, first few laps. What was the initial reaction?
Turn one, Abu Dhabi, left, and then the fast left, right.
Yeah, I've done it in the simulator, like an F1 simulator. It's like threading a needle almost.
I say my first flyer, not to be a wussy, go flat. Man, what caught me off guard was the change of direction. Like, just in the way that the car just... I was like, no way! Oh, man, I was blown away with how... Like, the thing is just sick. Like, it's just low fuel, massive downforce. And it's unbelievable what those cars can do. Like, yeah, you look at them and they're works of art. They are insane. But, like, when you feel what they are capable of doing, it's unexplainable.
Oh, dude, that's so awesome. So jealous on so many levels. That's incredible. Good for you. Last couple questions for you. So Australian Grand Prix is coming up this weekend. What's going on with your team, man?
Honestly, I haven't wanted to ask much, so I'm kind of low key.
Good answer. Good answer.
They'll get it together. They're a great group of guys. They're smart, and I'm sure they're gonna get it together. I think, they're in a bit of a pickle because it's all about the development, right? You don't get the development like that. So I feel like they're gonna see some big steps coming, but I don't know if they're necessarily gonna be there this weekend. I haven't really asked, so I don't know enough to be able to tell you. But I do think they're gonna take steps throughout the year for sure. I just don't know when we're really gonna see it.
It'll be incredible to watch the comeback for them, though. I mean, because I think like with F1 now and with this new rules and regulation sets and stuff, cost cap as well, it'll be interesting to see like if teams can really make that big of a step. Because like in previous years when they didn't have cost cap or cap on wind tunnel time and CFD, I mean the big teams could just outspend everybody to maintain that lap delta to everyone else. So this will be So I think this is going to be interesting. Had a bunch of questions, but we pretty much went through most of these. But they were on Twitter. There's a lot, dude. How many do you want me to take?
I have a lunch to get to, so let's do a couple, and then I gotta get out of here.
Okay. If you could only wear merch for the rest of your life, and it could be from only one person, one thing, whose merchandise would it be? That is
Pato
from
Award
Melissa.
merch, baby. Let's go.
From Tony Hankin, what does McLaren mean to you? The name McLaren. Are you interested in the history? And he says thank you at the end. Okay. All right. Who is your sporting idol outside of motorsports? This is from Chris. So Norris Award. Okay.
Probably. Dang. Yeah, that's a really good one. So not in racing. Probably some motocross guy. So James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael. These guys were freaking monsters. I got two more for you. There's a lot here. Yancey 60. This one's interesting. To bring you into my personal campaign is what they say. Would you want to see more ovals on the IndyCar calendar? I'd like to see more races, period. I don't really care if they're oval or not oval, but I'd like to see more races. I think we can put in 3 or 4 more races, and yeah.
From Austin Kahn, if IndyCar were to expand to Mexico, would you prefer a road course or street course, and where in Mexico?
Probably road course, because I don't know how our suspension is going to deal with the Mexican roads sometimes.
I don't know. You do come to Toronto,
I guess we do go to Toronto, but I don't know. We call them topes over there. Yeah, like
okay.
These are proper like. The cars for sure cannot take those.
No. Pato, thanks very much for taking the time to do this, man. Really appreciate okay, it's Patricio Ward from Aero McLaren, IndyCar driver. Thanks again, man. Good luck this weekend in Texas.
Check out.